live yet again as promised for this Tuesday after Memorial Day. For those who celebrated Memorial Day, counterpunch to you. Happy Memorial Day for the people that served and sacrificed themselves to this country. I salute you. Mama Lou, hey Kurt, how's it going? It's going pretty good. Counterpunch to you. I gave you your first like. Thank you, Mama Lou. As you come in, hit that like button. Mama Lou, you already know what to do. I will let the chat load. I've been thinking about the heavyweight division for quite some time. You know, we will do these current condition videos live because this is a nice discussion. I think it's worth the time and effort. And right now, the heavyweight division is still the way it was. You know, we did have this month. This month has been a busy month for heavyweight boxing, right? It's been a month where we thought Fabio was going to stay on top. You know, belt changing of the hands. Danny Dubois is back in the saddle on top of the horse. And when you get on that horse, you better ride it. What is that? KC Ball? What? KB Ball? Kurt, how you doing, bro? Hope all you well. Thank you, bro. Chase the Purpose. They robbed Rico. Stood the fight after the bell. They stopped the fight. They stopped the fight. We're going to talk about all that. Revelation TV. Salute. Yeah, I knew what you meant. They. Did they rob Rico? Did they rob Rico? And in short, no. Did the ref make a mistake? Yes, he did. He did make a mistake. Keep in mind that Peter Fury, you know, he pretty much cornered. If you guys haven't seen the video that I posted earlier, maybe an hour ago, Peter Fury was on the flight with the referee, you know, and he cornered him. He pretty much, you know, confronted him, you know, I mean, in a respectful manner because you're on a plane, right? And you know, and Peter's not John Fury. Okay, so you got Peter, you got John. I don't know how many other brothers they have. I know Peter and John, right? Sounds like books in the Bible. But Peter is the one with hair that his son is Huey Fury. John Fury has Tyson, Tommy, Shane, right? I think the new guy, Roman, right? So, and Peter was like, look, was Rico robbed from an opportunity? Was an opportunity taken away from him? Yes. But the same way an opportunity was taken away from Usyk. See, we're talking about, okay, how much could he take? How much resistance did Rico have? He was down that fight. He was still wobbly in the corner. If you didn't see that video that came out, then he lost his mouthpiece. That might have been intentional. He went back to the corner, you know, and when he went to the corner, that alone should have been enough to save him from the fight being stopped because it wasn't enough time for Usyk to put him down again. My thing is, if the referee allowed Rico to go down, he should have allowed him to go down again. You see what I mean? Let's look at the Richard Torres versus Frank Sanchez fight. Frank put this man down, and there was no reason for him to keep counting because Richard couldn't get up. Torres couldn't get up. He was trying. It looked like, you know, when Mike used to knock out them dudes in the 80s. Remember how Mike used to hit them and they just try to get up and they're all over the place? It's like playing, remember Fight Night? It's like playing Fight Night where you had to line up the little dots and then, you know, you kind of got to center them Because if not, you're going to go left or you're going to go right. You know what I mean? That's how Richard was. But Rico wasn't like that. He wasn't that bad off. So they could have gave him the benefit of the doubt. You know, and I feel that they didn't. And because they didn't, it was like, yo, you know, you stopped it too early, dude. You know what I mean? And plus, you didn't even hear the bell, but I don't even know if he was listening to the bell. They said they didn't hear the bell. Ref's word is final, in my humble opinion. Yeah, he didn't hear the bell, and he was on his way to stop it anyway. But that alone was his statement. And I think his statement should clear Rico to fight again. Why? Because it didn't matter what he did. Because, I mean, he didn't even, there was no punches landed on Rico. If you look back at that footage, there were no punches landed on Rico from the time he got caught with that uppercut, from the time he went down through the ropes, his head went outside the ropes, he got up, he laid in the corner, he gritted his teeth. The referee was kind of calling him, and I think the referee already made up his mind, like, yo, I'm going to stop this fight. But he could have stopped it then. He could have waved that fight off from that knockdown. You know, would that have been worse, though? Probably, but he could have done that, but he didn't. And he didn't do that. And then he went over to get his mouthpiece washed back off because he either spat it out or it came out, right? And we don't know if that was intentional. But even if that was intentional, that's smart because he's trying to buy time. A lot of fighters do that. A lot of fighters do that, right? A lot of trainers intentionally keep the mouthpiece from the fighter because they know they're still hurt, only for the fighter to go in the middle of the ring, find out he don't have the mouthpiece, to go back to the ring to buy more time. So all of those are like veteran tactics that, you know, people use, corners use. That's what they're there for. They're there to protect their fighter or prolong a certain situation that may not be the best situation that their fighter's in. So whatever they can do, they can help. And I get it. I understand that. But when he came back, Usyk was going to get at him, and that opportunity was robbed. It was severed of what could have happened because nothing did happen. The ref, by the time Usyk was coming in, which it's almost like this, man. It's almost like somebody with a smoking gun coming in to shoot you for one last shot to put you down, and somebody stops it like, yo, you already won. That's how I look at it, because Usyk didn't even hit him again yet. But the whole idea, the ref didn't even want to see any more of that. The question you ask yourself is, well, ref, why did you even count if you knew you weren't trying to see him? I don't know, man. That you know what that reminds me of? Minority Report. Remember the movie with Tom Cruise, Colin Farrell, Minority Report, where they stop things from happening before they happen? You see what I mean? And because they did that, they still sentenced the guy on what he was going to do. You know what I mean? Oh, you were going to kill this person because we just stopped you from doing it. You know what I mean? Because we were so sure that you were going to do it. So they catch a crime in the act. I'm watching a show right now with Jim Caviezel called A Person of Interest. It's kind of like that, you know, where they're able to, you know, dictate based on a computer, and that computer sees certain situations that's about to go down and they stop it before it goes down. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what happened with the ref. The ref predicted something that was going to happen and he tried to stop it. I think that's that, you know. Okay, so here we go. It depends on the angle you're watching it from, but Usyk definitely landed some good shots after the uppercut, even though it was still a long stoppage. A long stoppage, okay. Usyk ain't the greatest to me. Frank Sanchez will F him up. Revelation TV. Now you're talking about a guy that I know. Frank's on top of the world right now because he is now deeming himself the next boogeyman. And you know what? I think he's right, because it surely hell ain't Martin McCauley no more. Martin McCauley's not the next boogeyman. You know what I mean? He's not the next boogeyman. He's a guy that's trying to get another fight. He dropped the ball with Joseph Parker because of being too fat. Then he dropped the ball with Efe Ajagba because he really lost that. Bars. Right? Usyk can still cement his legacy if he defeats Caballero. It would be better than it is now. But I mean, I don't know. Here's my thing about Usyk. Why is people mad at Usyk? It's like people gave up on Usyk. No, this is just natural selection. This may be, people, the time for Usyk to be beat. Usyk's done his job to me. His job was get rid of the villain. We all know who the villain was. The person that you pretty much love to hate. It was first Wilder. I didn't hate Wilder. It's just Wilder was in a position, and I remember, this is 2026. You rewind 10 years ago. In 2016, Wilder said something that totally turned me off about him. And at that point, to me, he became that guy that, yeah, maybe it's best for you to face a defeat, and then you may learn something after that. But to me, he wasn't really the bad guy. But for the masses, he was that dude that people pretty much was looking for him to lose. You know what I mean? Just based on his lack of skill set, his lack of interest of wanting to get better. He didn't care about none of that. And because of that, I hope that's why people didn't like him. You know what I'm saying? Because probably people didn't like, because a lot of people didn't like Floyd Mayweather, but one thing you couldn't say about Floyd is he lacked skill. No, you probably didn't like him because he's a woman beater, right? That's what a lot of people said. You know what I mean? And his mouth, his arrogance, right? The way he carried himself. Maybe that are some things, but it wasn't the only thing. You know what I mean? So take that in mind. Let's just hope, that Wilder didn't become disliked because of the way he looked. But here's the thing. If that wasn't the case, I don't want the narrative to be the case. But anyway, back to Frank Sanchez. Frank Sanchez is going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem. And again, Usyk, he can beat Usyk right now. Caballero can beat Usyk right now. And if that's the case, if they both beat Usyk, or if Usyk gets beat by one of them, I think it's pretty much over. He'll probably try to get a rematch for whoever beat him. You know what I mean? Obviously, naturally. But, just like Klitschko tried to rematch Tyson Fury. But I do feel that it's time for Usyk to either retire if he cares about the undisputed thing, right? Or happily welcome or happily pass the torch. That's how it's supposed to go in boxing. It's supposed to go that way. See, when you're the best for so long, how long has Usyk been regarded as the best? About 5 years? Think about it. I mean, from him being a cruiserweight to heavyweight, reigning heavyweight, unified, undisputed, unified now currently, you know what I mean? He's been on top for the longest. He's been undefeated. He's undefeated. You can't stay undefeated forever if you fight the right opposition, people. This is the history of boxing, not the history of Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk is in the history books of boxing. He is not the book itself. So we need to remember that. So if it's time for Usyk to get beat, and if he's fighting the right people, if he didn't pick up shit from Tyson Fury, And Tyson Fury, we know where he got it from. His big brother, Floyd, and them, you know, because a lot of people feel that they get beat, it's like they're defeated in life or some shit. No, everyone that's someone that fights the best gets defeated sometimes. And it doesn't mean just because you get a one loss or you get defeated for the first time doesn't mean it's be all and end all. You could come back, reinvent yourself even at a later age to really show your true greatness, but it's going to take sacrifice, especially if you're older. If you're older, you may have to train like you're a young man. And I don't know if everyone knows, but if you are training and you're older, it takes more of a toll on your body because you don't have the attributes, the testosterone, the energy like you used to have. It doesn't matter about the shape. It matters about age, natural selection. You know what I mean? You know, strongest of the fittest, survival of the fittest. You're fighting someone younger than you. I know countless times that happened where it was guys that was clearly better than the person that beat them. They just fought them older. But that's what happens when you stay on top, because if you want that position, you still have to maintain a certain status. And that's taking on all the newcomers. Perfect example. One of my favorite fighters, Erik Morales. Eric El Terrible Morales. Right? He got beat by Danny Garcia twice. But how did he do that? He was just too old. Now, logic tells you, Eric, if he would have fought him 5-6 years before, he would have beat the shit out of Danny Garcia. Because Danny he's a decent boxer. He's a banger. He's a hooker. But he ain't better than no Erik Morales. But he was better than Erik Morales when he fought him. Bobby Collins, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you, salute. He needs to retire because old man, 40 years is bullshit. Time is over for him. Hey, it's up to Usyk. If the man wants to go out on his shield, let him go out on his shield. I will not lose respect for Alexander Usyk if he takes an L. I ain't built that way. I think a lot of people are, because a lot of people fall in love this bromance with the fighter. Floyd could have done it. It would have been more glorious for Floyd because he was an over-glorified villain. You know what I mean? People would have loved to see him because people hated him. But again, people hated Floyd for different reasons now. Sometimes they hated him for other reasons that he had nothing to do with. He had no control over. You know what I mean? Kurt, I wish Efe Ajagba had fought Sanchez instead of Richard Torres. It would have been more of a competitive fight. Well, Revelation TV, remind yourself that fight already happened. So have a soothing, knowledge of that. At least that fight happened. I'm glad he fought Torres. Torres was asking for it. Torres was asking for the Moses Atoma fight. Torres was asking to fight all these guys. He was hungry. He had Bomac. But what did it do for him? Nothing. Okay, it says the ref did not hear the bell, but no one can say what would have happened in that last round, but both fighters deserve the chance to finish the fight. Rico has the right to be pissed off. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Sergeant Robert is in the house reporting. Counterpunch to you, bro. Verhoeven versus Wilder or Jarrell Miller next in Amsterdam. Something has to be creative about that venue. Because if it's going to be Usyk fighting at that venue, it better be something worthwhile. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to see bullshit fights. To be fair, I think that, and I thought this was the case, Sanchez, Torres, that should have been the co-main event. Even though I'm happy with what happened because, Shiraz did his thing. Shout out to Hamza Shiraz. Yeah, he beat that boy up, and it was like it was like an A fighter fighting a D fighter. Even though they were both undefeated. Yeah, that one draw from Shiraz by Adames, but You know what I mean? It was a good fight. And Shiraz showed that fighter what level he was on. Alex Max Power, counterpunch to you, brother. Kemal Official TV. Hey, what are your thoughts on who could beat Usyk? I mean, let me explain it to you guys like this, right? If Usyk just had a bad night, that's one thing. Because that could have been the case. But if he's just slowing down, because people are calling Usyk fat. Usyk didn't look like he looked in 2022 or 2021, even though that's 4 or 5 years ago, right? He don't look the same, but he's looking fat. They say. Remember, he got them love handles. They're kind of poking out. You know. Kurt, who would win? Frank Sanchez next. Who should Frank Sanchez fight next? He should fight a safe opponent and line himself up to fight whoever wins between Kabayel and Usyk. But not like a bum, but someone known. You know what I mean? But nobody that's just dangerous enough to knock him off his opportunity. You know? Because he needs a chance for the heavyweight crown. And if Kabayel wins, that will be his opportunity to get revenge. Bars. Right? So you may see a rematch between Frank and Ajit Kabayel. I mean, now, if Frank is a guy that's healed and healthy, and that was the narrative, because that was what was going on. You know, he quickly had that surgery. He had issues with his knee. He had lingering issues with his knee because it was swelling up or whatever. You see what I mean? So, hey, we don't know. So, yeah, I think that's what Frank should do. What's worse, British refs or UF referees? Well, worst calls was Richard Steele over here. British refs, you just need to pick one, because they've all done some bullshit. You know what I mean? Mark Nelson, is he British or is he American? I'm not sure. I don't know. Munguia is a different animal now. He could possibly be the next guy at 168. Well, he's young. You know, I would like to see him fight Hamza Shiraz. Mm-hmm. I don't think that Kabayel could handle any of that top 5 heavyweights. I would clearly disagree. I will boldly disagree that Kabayel don't. Because I think Kabayel beats them all. And looking at, and there's more to explain about Usyk. If Usyk is old, and this is the new standard of Usyk, he gets beat. The question is, by who? That's simple. That's unapologetic. That's unbiased. That's the way it is. If he fought like he fought Rico, and this is the new standard. If he's kind of slower, if he's heavier, because he was the heaviest he's ever been, if this is the new standard, he gets beat. Usyk gets beat. You know, and and this is probably a foreshadowing. This is a sneak preview of what could happen to Usyk if he gets in there with a beast. He was just happily in there with a guy that had an awkward style, but didn't really ever, he did his thing. But Kabayel was better than Rico. He's better than Rico. But here's the counter, people. How did Kabayel look in his last fight? Didn't he have a similar type of fight? Didn't it end in the same type of way? We got to be fair about this now. This ain't, let's jump down Usyk's ass today. No. Kabayel's last fight was not a performance either. He got hit way too much against an undefeated guy, taller, uppercuts, punches that I feel if his defense was on point, he should have been able to avoid a lot of those shots, but he didn't. He took them. He ate them like some damn Whopper Juniors. And that wasn't good. That's not a good sign. So Caballo didn't look too damn good in his last fight either. So what are we really talking about? Hopefully that was performances. Hopefully it was the style or whatever. See, we base these fighters based on their fights, but we need to understand the only thing that matters is the last fight. That's the only thing we have to go on. And that's just being pragmatic. That's the pragmatic truth. If you see how that fighter looked the last time, what's the chances of him looking like that the next time? It's a possibility. It may be something like, hey, man, he looked like shit the last fight. There's a chance he may look like shit the next fight. But me looking at Usyk, Usyk didn't look good against Dubois to me. It's just Dubois was so damn stiff. He was, maybe he chugged a couple beers. He might have had a few Sprites. Because I don't think they made him or had him drinking alcohol, but he was at a party. Danny Dubois was at a damn party before he fought Usyk. Usyk was prepared the way Usyk was prepared, but Danny Dubois looked like shit in that fight. He was just kind of, you know what I mean? But really, that's just Danny Dubois anyway. And it's just Usyk knew him. Usyk was familiar with him. You have to look at different factors. Usyk had already shared 8.5 rounds with this guy. And okay, he has a good jab, so I know to parry the jab and counter with my left. You know what I mean? And I'm going to try to knock him out with my left because, I think Usyk had a vested interest in putting Danny Dubois down. I think Usyk was secretly fighting mad because Don Charles kept talking so much shite to the point it was like, I'm going to show him and his damn big mouth ass trainer that's attacking my religion and shit. I'm going to show him what's up. I'm going to give him the Ivan punch. So I'm going to hit Danny Dubois as hard as I fucking can in his mouth. I'm going to hit him hard as shit in his mouth and see what he does. Because I'm going to hit him in his mouth to shut up his trainer. And what happened? Don Charles. I don't think that Caballo could. Okay, we already got that. Let's see. Triple D had a few double chocolate milkshakes. Dubois' version against Anthony Joshua, Fabio Wardley would kill Caballo. Oh, that's a good question. That's a bold statement. I don't think so. The Danny Dubois that fought Anthony Joshua, bro, you think that was the best Anthony Joshua we ever saw? I don't think so. But then I think Joshua is one of those fickle people. He's very fickle. You don't know what version of AJ you're going to get. AJ may come out looking good as shit. Then he may come out looking like shit. You don't know about AJ. And Fabio Wardley, come on, bro. Was Fabio this expert boxer anyway? He just looked good against who? He looked better than we thought he was going to look against Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker looked like shit too, didn't he? He didn't look the best. The motherfucker was overweight. He was heavy, right? And how he let Fabio outbox him. And that tells you a lot about Joseph Parker. Let's see how Joseph looks in his next fight. If Joseph looks like shit in his next fight, that may be the new standard for Joseph Parker. See, Joseph Parker may just be that guy because he's been around a long time. This motherfucker been around in 10 years. Joseph Parker been around in 10, 11 years. 10, 11. Right? He's been around that long. Rico's style was very similar to Chisora when he fought him. Yeah, well, he just bullied him. He fought Usyk. He pressured Usyk. He grabbed Usyk. He roughhoused Usyk. Usyk don't like that. Usyk like Pacquiao. Pacquiao don't like to get held and thrown around and, shoulder, you know what I mean? Gave him the shoulder. See, yeah, Rico did a lot of that. I haven't heard anything yet. CK Knutson. Last fight he said, "You're a bad predictor." What up, Bruce? Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. Cheers, bro. Appreciate you, brother. Parker only like 33. It don't matter. Parker been around a long time. Parker's 33 now. He'll be 34 somewhere down the line this year. But Parker did not look good against Fabio Wardley. He looked okay, but he didn't look great. I think he was too big. I think he gained too much weight. Bars. Right? Kurt, I think Turkey wants to set up Guido versus Bakali. That'd be a good fight. Put that on the undercard in Istanbul. The Rico robbery was far worse than the Ngannou robbery. Ngannou robbery. Bro, you talking shit now. Ngannou got knocked the fuck out. What are you talking about? Ngannou. Or are we talking about when he fought Tyson Fury? I hope that's what you're talking about. Because if you're talking about AJ, man, no. Ngannou didn't go down in the Tyson Fury fight. So I understand that argument. Though, see, Parker's 34 now. Yeah. So there you go. Rico had a 30-second recovery and was actively spitting out his gum shield. The ref was too generous to Rico. Well, he could have took points by that time. He could have took a point away. And then a knockdown plus a point deduction because he did that shit, I think, twice earlier. Rico lost that damn gum shield a couple times before the knockdown. Facts. So it is what it is. Fury fight. Okay. Oh, against Fury. Fury fight. Yeah, well. People was actually happy about that, but we knew. Ngannou actually won. He just didn't get the decision. Like Rico, a lot of people can argue that Rico won. He just didn't, it was just controversial. So I think that's what we have right now. That's that. That's that in a nutshell. I mean, Rico, is he in the same ballpark as Ngannou when he fought Tyson Fury? Yes. But understand this is boxing. So we know that Usyk is bigger. He's heavier. He can punch, he can crack. I think he is an underrated puncher. I think he's more of a precision puncher than a power puncher, but he can get the job done, and he got it done on Rico. Look, man, Rico, and here's the thing. If Rico fought Usyk again, chances are Usyk would knock him out in 4 rounds. Or when he got tired, he would tire him out first. But I think he would knock him out. I think it would be just like the Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois, Usyk was controversial. Remember the first fight? Everybody kept talking about that one punch on the belt line. One punch on the belt line put Usyk's ass down. We talked about that shit as long as we possibly could. Nobody cares no more. Nobody gives a shit about what happened, Danny Dubois versus Usyk, because Usyk sealed the deal in 6 rounds, or was it 5? Did he knock out Danny Dubois in 5 rounds, or was it 6? Don't matter which one it was. It still happened, didn't it? Nobody cares. So if he did fight Rico, it was round 5. Okay. If nobody If Usyk fought Rico again, he would knock him out. I'd put money on that shit. I would show biz the dope. I would do some shit like that. I would put $5,000 that Usyk knocks out Rico Verhoeven. That's how confident I am, because it was going to happen anyway. Because the question is, I mean, it's logical. Did he hurt Usyk? I think he hurt him to the body. I think he hurt him with a body shot, but he ain't hurt him with them rights. He surprised him. Like, shit, I didn't see that. This dude's awkward. This is new. This is different. But does this equate? Well, maybe I'm not as fast as I used to be. This extra weight was heavy. You know, I'm a little chunky moving around this ring, trying to, you know, avoid this big ass dude that's, you know what I mean? Looking all lurchy and bent all over. And he come there. Usyk, they can have that fight. And really, if we see that fight again, all that is a buffer. But it also slows down the progression of the heavyweight division. It'll piss me off because I'm like, we just seen this shit. It's unnecessary to me. But for people that are outside of boxing that really, a lot of people don't like boxing. A lot of people like UFC. A lot of people like kickboxing. You know what I mean? Kumite, shout out to Donald Gibbs, Ray Jackson, Van Damme, Bloodsport. I grew up in that era. So I know, and I looked at those fights with Benny the Jet. You know what I mean? Chuck Norris when they used to compete. Hell, they used to have them on HBO. No, they used to have them on Showtime. So, yeah, I'm familiar with the circuits, especially when you competed in a small, you know, in local circuits in your hometown, and you know how these tournaments are. A lot of them are not televised, but you understand the jargon. You understand what happens. You know, you respect the champion, right? And Usyk, I think Usyk will come back. And again, I think he'll knock out Rico. He'll knock Rico out. He'll know, okay, I know what to do. He bends over. He slouches. He comes in. He bulldozes. I'm going to knock him out with an uppercut. I'm going to set that shot up, and I'm going to knock his ass out. But Rico, understand, he's conditioned. He's an athlete. He's younger than Usyk. He's 37. Usyk's 39. He got 2 years on Usyk. If Usyk was 37, he was 39, I don't think we would have a situation to even talk about, because I think it's about a combination of Usyk maybe getting older. He may be getting slower. He's definitely getting bigger. You know what I mean? So it was more difficult to deal with that based on the extra weight, based on the age. I think a lot of those were factors that we have to consider about Usyk. But I do think he's a determined mofo. You get with all he did was piss Usyk off, bro. All he did was make Usyk mad. So if Turkey throws him $100 million and he throws Rico Verhoeven that just made $15 million, $30 million, $25 million, that fight's gonna happen again. And it's gonna keep it's gonna hold up the division. You know, they may strip, because it ain't gonna matter, because Usyk ain't no undisputed anyway. So they're gonna strip him of the WBC. Ajit Kabayel is gonna fight somebody else for it. Okay? He's gonna fight somebody else for that belt, but they're gonna get together again, and Usyk's gonna whoop him and knock him out quick. That's what Usyk's gonna do. That's what he does. He's a winner. They win. Why you think Lomachenko was sitting over there crying because he lost to was it T.O. or was it Devin Haney? When he was crying because he was mad. Because they ain't used to losing. Them winners over there. Rico getting married now. Won't fight till 27. Won't fight till 27. What does that mean? Oh, 2027. Okay. All right. All right. No, he's 37. No, moron. The year 27. Gotcha. All right. None of Kabayel or Etoma beats Usyk selling the pipe dream to the audience. I don't know about that shit. I don't know about that shit now, because, again, we can only be fair and pragmatic. There is hope that Usyk looks better with other fighters. Styles make fights. I get it. But to disregard what we saw, and I'm not talking about the difficulty of Rico. I'm talking about the inability of Usyk avoiding punches. He was getting hit with shots that I don't think he should have got hit with. Now he avoided a lot of shots because Rico was coming with that right hand, and he, you know, because he was coming with that right hand and that left hook. Rico was coming with that left hook, and Usyk was able to duck, sucker. He was able to duck. The Caballero fight is going to happen first. Dark Slagle, it should. It should happen first. You shouldn't put a freak fight, a fight that was a buffer anyway, in front of a fight that actually means something. But yeah, like talking about Moses Atoma, man, Moses Atoma versus Usyk, based on what we saw, based on their last two performances. Now I know the opposition is way different. I'm talking about their performances and what they were able to do overall. Right? Usyk will make it tricky. But I think Moses Atoma, if Usyk just did not have, if this is the standard, Usyk gets beat. That torch will be passed to Moses Atoma. And if it's Moses that does it, Moses is the next guy. He's the next guy that everybody's going to want. And they should. I just hope Moses at a young age doesn't get to that point where, like Mike, because Mike Tyson, it happened to Mike. Mike was great. Mike was sensational. Iron Mike, Kid Dynamite. He was this young dude knocking out people, you know. All you need to do, guys, you know, pardon my French, but give him some pussy. Give Moses a girlfriend. You know what I mean? That could be self-destructive for any young bloke like that. You know? I think he's likes to smoke weed, honestly. But I think he's still a hell of a fighter, slow talking but fast hands. He talks slow like he's just some guy at the bar you want to have a few beers and a couple shots with, and he tells you about his day or what local football team is the best, and you're chilling over there wherever he's at, right? In some pub. Exhibition factor matters. Finally, Google confirmed that Usyk fired his lucky but tough trainer before the fight with Rico. Usyk changed his training team and ahead of the fight with Rico due to restructuring. Revelation TV. Kurt, I think Turkey should do a championship fight of the top 15 heavyweights and make them all fight. Then we'll get the best. I don't think he'll do that. I think Turkey is only after big fights and only big fights. I don't think he's going to no longer do like he did a few years ago. Days of Reckoning and all that. He ain't doing that no more. He's not doing that. I don't think he's done. I think because you think about the money that Turkey has spent since 2023. That's been a long time ago. The Days of Reckoning was December of 2023. Now you think about all the fights that happened since then. See, just Usyk versus Tyson Fury 1 and 2 alone, you think about the money. That's $500 million damn near. Right? That's from their fight purses. Who made who? I think Tyson made 100 and some million. Usyk made what? 40 million, 50 million, something like that. Right? That's 200 million. Then their next fight, around the same amount, but just switched purses. That's 400. So about damn near $500,000 just for those two fighters. So I don't think Turki Al-Sheikh is going to spend money on Frank versus Ajay Kabayel or, you know, I mean, I don't think that. I don't think that he's going to do that. I think he's done that. It was 80 million. 80 million versus 120, that's 200 million. And I think they switch purses. So that's $400 million for two fights. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. That's $1 million 400 times. 400 million. That's a lot of millions. Hell, give me 3 million. I'll be fine. Probably 5. But you give me 3, I'm going to make 10. You know, Saudi oil. Yep. Kurt, I'm from that Tyson era. Or, sorry, I'm from that Mike Tyson era. But in reality, he fought a lot of cab drivers. He fought who was important at the time, but he fought a lot of beasts too. Fought a lot of hell of a fighters. A lot of people just don't know them because they were from that era. You know, those guys in the 80s, a lot of them didn't fight in the 90s, or they were on their way out in the 90s. Moses now not prime version. Moses not Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is a phenom. Amen. Young Butterball. Hello. Jerome Holmes. I'm from that Errol Spence era, the best era. Okay. Let me tell you something about Errol Spence. Errol Spence was good. He was good. He just wasn't the best. He had good management. Because he had the management that he had protection, and that kept him from certain fights for only so long. Rico got 15 million for this fight. Wish it was me. I would be buying properties in islands in the Caribbean. I may buy one in Rio. I don't know about Salvador, Bahia, but definitely Rio. I would buy a house, or probably an apartment, because you could buy apartments there. You don't have to buy a house to own it. I would buy a house in Rio Comprido. That's where I lived in Brazil, right? I would buy one there. I wouldn't buy one in Copacabana. I mean, you probably could, but yeah. I would go there and probably get a room, right? I get a room there. I wouldn't just go buy something there. I mean, unless it was nice, which, don't get me wrong, Copacabana, Ipanema, Lime, those are good places. But yeah, I would definitely buy a property in Brazil. Kurt, he didn't take the fight seriously enough too busy being distracted and fanning about with AJ. Gav 1977, you may have a point. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case. Alex Krusuk, former manager, told Seconds Out that he advised Usyk to retire a long time ago. Well, why not? I mean, what has Usyk not done? Think about it. What has he not done at this point? See, that's the problem with it, man. We need to look at the accomplishments of a fighter and how long you expect a fighter to hang around. See, I don't care about if a fighter makes 100 million for a fight. Okay, the factor of him needing money and providing for his family and generational wealth and all that bullshit, that means nothing. Because you have that now. Bro, if you made $100 million, anybody on this panel, if you guys was awarded $100 million, there's no reason why your great-grandchild won't be rich. There's no reason for him to be broke, because he won't. Oh, my great-great-grandfather, Kurt, his name was Kurt DeVille. He's the reason we're rich. That's our estate. I got money. I'm always going to have money. You know what I mean? So when you're talking about these boxers, the Furies, the Joshuas, even the Wilders, they have money that's going to linger. Maybe not the Wilders, because he has a lot of kids and that shit could just be ate up like piranhas. You know what I mean? In different areas and different, you know what I mean? Usyk still wants more money taking less risky fights. And I don't understand that. Why would he need more money for what, unless he was trying to open an organization or, donate most of his stuff to the war or something like that? That's understandable, because that's money for a different purpose. Maybe it's selfless reasons that Usyk wants that type of money. So we need to take that into consideration as well. Maybe he needs it for other than his family. Boxing is like narcotics. It is. This is very true. It's very addictive. Usyk needs to humble himself. Anyone can take a loss. Well, he didn't take a loss against Rico. He didn't take a loss against Rico. In fact, he would have stopped Rico, but it makes people, and it puts us in the same headspace as what we're talking about right now. The condition of the heavyweight division. Where is it going to be? Who is he going to fight? Well, that's an easy question to answer. He's going to fight Caballo. He could do some bitch shit by fighting Rico again. I'll say this. Anybody can take a loss, sure. But also, that also goes with, and side by side with, anybody could have a bad night. Anybody could have a bad night. Not just the best, because I think what we did was with Usyk, and this is the problem. He surprised us so much over the years, over the last half a decade. The last half a decade, Usyk has surprised us probably more. Him and Bud Crawford, right? Them two fighters have surprised us more than any other fighter that's fighting today. More than Tank, more than Shakur, more than Devin, more than David Benavidez, more than any of these other guys. Those two guys stick out. Why do they stick out? Because they fought fighters that they didn't supposed to beat, based on size, based on a lot of shit. They both did that. That's why. And once that happened, we start looking at Usyk other than how we're supposed to look at him. He's a human being. He's a religious man. He believes in his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And he fights. And people think he ain't going to beat him. He beats him. He ain't going to beat him. He beats him. He surely can't beat him. He beats him. That's what happened. And that's all surprising us. And because it surprised us, we start looking at Alexander Usyk like he's something else. Like he's fucking Homelander. He's not superhuman. Not at all. Him and Deontay Wilder, fun fact. You know what Usyk and Wilder had in common? Like back in the day? They both were the most injured fighters while training, conditioning themselves. They're always busted up and hurt. People don't know that because maybe you didn't follow Usyk when he was a cruiserweight. This dude was always going through some shit. He was always going through some type of issue when it came to tearing something, overextending something, right? Postponing training or postponing fights due to injury. Atoma or Caballo would beat Usyk right now, possibly. One thing Usyk is not accomplished is he has zero defense, not satisfying his mandatories. Well, if you're going to come for one, you got to come for all. And I will say this, Alexander Usyk has never defended a undisputed title. He was the next, or should I say the last undisputed champion, but he never defended the title. Now, if you ask him, is that any fault of his own? No, not really. The IBF just came out of nowhere. We're stripping you. I'm glad that you are an undisputed champion with all your belts, but we're taking our belt back. Thank you much. God bless you. Good night. right? Because he signed on to fight Tyson Fury again instead of fighting the IBF guy at that time. That's how Danny Dubois had got the belt. You see what I mean? Then he became undisputed again, though. But then again, he got stripped from the WBO. So he still never officially defended all the belts at one time. So he was never a reigning and defending undisputed champion. Right? Reigning and defending unified champion, but not reigning and defending undisputed champion that he actually defended. With all the belts intact, he never went, hey, this is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world from Kiev, Ukraine. Right? Alexander Usyk, you never heard that because it never existed, because he never fought anyone else and gave them the opportunity to take all the belts at one time. So what's your point? The point is, he has not been a reigning and defending undisputed champion. That's my point. Listen. Triple D versus Usyk 1 was a mandatory too, wasn't it? Yes, on the WBA. Because we had the WBA champion, regular champion, Danny Dubois, which made him mandatory. A lot of people say, well, it's just mandatory. No, he was the WBA regular champion, which granted him a mandatory status to fight the super WBA, WBO, and IBF champion, Alexander Usyk, and they fought. That's how that fight got made. Danny Dubois beat Trevor Bryant, Don King's fighter. All you need is undisputed. That's good enough. Well, Lennox Lewis defended the undisputed title. Hey, Kurt, greetings from South Wales, brother. DJ Anton in the building. Counterpunch to you, bro. Thank you for showing up. Kurt, Usyk has received so much criticism, everyone cannot be wrong. I mean, criticism how? Criticism comes from different things they throw at us about Usyk. But wasn't Triple D a world champion when he fought Usyk the first time? Yes, he was the WBA regular champion. And what gets me is, I don't see how people don't know that. Lennox Lewis never defended undisputed. You keep mentioning it, but he was stripped. How and when? How and when? I want you to know your history about Lennox Lewis. I didn't really care for Lennox because Lennox beat all the guys that I really was a fan of. That's why I didn't care for his personality, but I mean, who cares? He was still a hell of a fighter. Usyk deserves criticism, let alone for taking the Rico fight anyway. Lucas, that's right. See, he shouldn't have took it. I mean, we discussed that a couple days ago, but no, he shouldn't have took the fight. I do agree. He shouldn't have took the fight. He shouldn't have agreed to fight Rico Van Hoven. And yeah, this is a direct example of karma. Yes, Triple D is a 3-time champion. For whatever reason, and I don't know how Daniel doesn't know this, and I think that's all bullshit too. I think they're not trying to make Daniel a 3-time because Tyson Fury nor Anthony Joshua are 3-time champions. But I guarantee you, people, if they would have had that damn belt, they would be calling themselves 3-time champion. But to be fair, what do you find more appealing? A unified champion that defended his belts, or a unified champion overall, because both Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua were unified champions. See, they were unified, right? Tyson never defended the unified championship, but he was still a unified champion. Just like Alexander was an undisputed champion. He never defended the belts either, while having the belts. Tyson didn't either. AJ did. But AJ got them at different times. He got them in a process. The IBF, the WBA vacant when he fought Klitschko, then the WBO when he fought Joseph Parker. There were no IBF belts during the Lennox Lewis fight versus Klitschko. Didn't matter. The belts at the time made him undisputed. Lennox Lewis was stripped of the WBA heavyweight title back in 2020 and the IBF heavyweight title in 2002. Okay. There were no IBF belts during Lennox Lewis's time. Undisputed, whether you defend it or not, is the best possible way you can go. Well, I mean, that's the last because you have every belt. But I mean, if that's the case, though, Tyson Fury had every belt. Now that he has over AJ, because Tyson Fury had the unified belts that he grabbed from one guy, Klitschko. He outboxed Klitschko. He beat Klitschko. Therefore, he got the belts. But Usyk defended the unified 4 times. Yes, he did, or 5. Yeah, he was unified champion for the longest. He was unified champion since 2021 when he beat AJ for those 3 belts. And he took them off his hands. Then he fought Danny Dubois. No. Then he fought AJ. Then he fought Danny Dubois. Then he fought Tyson Fury. Then he fought Tyson Fury again. Then he fought Danny Dubois for undisputed. Then he just fought and he lost that belt. Then he fought Rico Van Hoven. So yes, he's been a unified, reigning and defending champion for a long time. But in between him becoming or defending himself as unified champion, he became undisputed twice. That trumps anything that any of these other fighters have done. AJ needs to save boxing from these outsiders again, low key. If he can do that, he will be right back on top. And you know what'll start happening? Usyk can go ahead and ascend himself into retirement because, you know, Great Britain will be back on top. You say the WBA stripped Lennox Lewis. It wasn't an undisputed defense. Wasn't Hasim Rahman an undisputed heavyweight champion?
No, Hasim Rahman, also known as The Rock, was a unified world heavyweight champion, but he never achieved undisputed status.
He captured the WBC, IBF, and IBO. Oh, IBO. Forgot about their asses. Heavyweight titles in April of 2001 by pulling off a massive upset with a 5th-round knockout against Lennox Lewis. However, the WBA heavyweight title was held by, that's right, John Ruiz. Okay. John Ruiz had the WBA, and he fought Lennox Lewis for it. They fought 3 times. Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected because I could have sworn The Rock was the last undisputed champion because he beat Lennox Lewis, but Lennox Lewis took the shit back. But he only fought him for these 3 belts, which was the WBC, the IBF, and the IBO, which the IBO is not really a recognized belt, you know. Turkey manages Usyk's career. Turkey do what he wants with Usyk. Well, I mean, that's fine and dandy, though, but that doesn't mean those belts have to follow him. Usyk stay in the boxing 50 years, 10 lost like Evander. Understand, man, Evander had a lot of bullshit going. Evander Holyfield had 2 or 3 wives. He had kids everywhere. Matter of fact, he got so far behind on his child support that he had to sell his house. You remember Rocky V where they had to sell? You know, Paulie made that bullshit move with some kind of crooked dude, and he signed over everything to this guy, and that guy took it all and all that. Yeah. Cornbread. Counterpunch. Yo, Kurt, what do you think Kawasaki's career would have looked like if he tried fighting through over America? I mean, he fought in America. He beat Roy and he beat Bernard. I don't think he would have beat Andre Ward, though. He didn't fight Carl the Cobra. He didn't fight the Cobra. Holyfield was inconsistent, unfortunately. Usyk should take the Rico rematch, vacate the belt, and throw Kabayel in with the top 5. Arguably hasn't been in with the top 10. Everyone was shouting about Usyk versus Wardley. No one is now. Same with Kaba. So a cherry pick went wrong. Cherry pick without saying it is. Man, I like Kawasaki, man. Kawasaki was okay. He was a good fighter. He just came around too late. He should have fought those guys back in the day, which he didn't. So it just lets you know people don't talk about Kawasaki like that. They don't talk about him like that because he fought guys in a situation where they didn't respect him because he fought them late. When you fight those guys like that did so much in the sport late, you shouldn't get the respect unless you're very marketable like Oscar De La Hoya. If Sanchez beat Torres, then Hrgovic can beat Atoma. Always old lion beats young lion. Nah. I doubt that shit. Why? Because Torres was untested anyway. You look at Torres's record. Nah, Torres is not that good. He's a pressure fighter. But if you know how to deal with pressure, you can get him. Because there's nothing special to me that he done. You know what I mean? Like Richard, you don't hear me talk about Richard Torres. I ain't talking shit about the man, but he hasn't done anything, or he didn't do anything. Anybody on his record is not really worth mentioning as far as, you know, he beat, who's the best guy that he beat? Did he beat Guido? Wasn't it Guido that he beat? Sanchez has Reynoso and waiting for him to be exposed. Torres, rush to coach. What the hell happened to U.S. heavyweights? The shit gotta be studied. Such a huge fall off. People don't want to box no more. They don't get punched in the face. Yeah, it was Guido. So that was his best fighter. Guido beat Arslan Bekmambetov. That was Tyson Fury's last fighter. That was his last opponent. Why do you think Lomachenko agreed that all judges of his fight with Haney were from Las Vegas? Was it Aram's trap? No, it was Lomachenko, unless he stopped Devin Haney, was not going to win a decision against Devin Haney. It wasn't going to happen. This is a young man's sport. Lomachenko has already done what he's going to do. He's went from weight class to weight class to weight class. He's moved up, then got scared at 135 and stopped right there. Screeching halt. He fought the Linares. Remember Linares? Jorge Linares dropped his ass. That scared him. And then when it scared him, he stopped climbing. And when he stopped climbing, people stopped caring. Do you see what I'm saying? People stopped caring about Loma because then it only left Loma. It left him in a good division because, you know, you had T.O., you had Ryan Garcia, you had Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson was kind of there. You know what I mean? You had a lot of fighters there at that time. You know, Devin fought T.O. Lomachenko fought Devin and he fought T.O. And he only fought them once, and he lost decision for both. See, I understand that Tio was, he was once upon a time, I think the only time, 100% focused. Excuse me. Damn. Skinny Ruiz can beat Usyk. I don't know what Ruiz can do, man. Ruiz ain't been in the ring since 2024. I don't know what Ruiz can do. I know he can burn some fat. Kurt, do you care about the World Cup? Not really. If I was at a pub, I would watch it, eating an Irish breakfast. You know what I mean? But no, I don't. No, not really. I mean, I try to get into football, but it's like you have to know who's who. It's almost like a history that I don't know. Like, I know boxing. I knew American football. Knew, mind you. Not know, knew. Past tense. Kurt, I think Anderson versus Hrgovic would be a great fight. Jared Anderson. That would be a good fight, though. That would be a very good fight. Because Hrgovic doesn't punch. I don't think he punches as hard as Bakali. He ain't the same type of fighter as Bakali. I think Jared might get him. What do you think about Kovalev versus Ward fights? Did you agree with the results? The first fight, I did not. I think the first fight, it could have been a draw. And I think Kovalev won the first part. Ward won the second half. But I think the knockdown should have been a deciding factor of the result. But they went right into a rematch. And Kovalev, I think Kovalev gave up. I think he bitched out. But I think he thought that Ward couldn't punch. That might have just been the fall of Kovalev. Ward was never the same after Kovalev. I think you should say Kovalev was never the same after Ward. Where the hell are Parker, Bakali, and Zhang? Where are those cats? I don't know. Zhang's somewhere aching because of his workouts. Zhang's old. His bones hurt. He's tired. Zhang is tired. You see Zhang, man. Shout out to Sean George. Man, Sean George be working the hell out of Zhang. What's wrong? Zhang need to be somewhere in China eating a bowl of soup, noodles, chilling. You know what I mean? Looking at the harbor. Zhang is a badass old man. He is. I just think he's old. I just think he's, I don't know what's up with them big dudes like that. Sometimes, because I wasn't a big dude originally. I was skinny. I had to grow into this shit. I just wasn't always a big dude. I was a slender ass dude. Where's Slow Joe Joyce? He's somewhere trying to get a fight. Frank, I just think I was just looking for a fight. I just need a fight. Can you help me, Frank? Well, I don't know, Joe. We're trying to see how everything on. We'll look at the particulars and we'll get back to you people, okay? Okay, Frank. Have a good day. Good day to you. Click. That slowpoke Joyce, he wants another fight. I'm not paying this bastard anything. Loma, you think he can do something after a layoff? I have no idea. I have no idea. But honestly, I'm not interested in watching Loma fight. Why? Because Loma has had his day. Triple G has had his day. Usyk, I think, has had his better days. I don't think Usyk's going to get any better than he is now, or was, because I don't think he is as good as he used to be. I just don't. I think his athleticism has decreased. I don't think that he's the same type of fighter. I understand that Rico might have been difficult, but the Usyk that I remember, and I know you guys can remember, would have beat the shit out of Rico. I don't think he's the same type of fighter no more. Do I still think he can fight? Yeah, I still think he can fight, but I don't think he can fight like he used to. Ward will beat Kovalev in the revenge. Okay. What do you think of Kid Schofield versus Tank being ordered? Tank Davis? I don't know. I don't know. I thought Tank was done. So I guess he's out of jail. I've seen him dancing with some chick. You know, everybody's saying how fruity he looks. Dude, I mean, he's dancing with a chick. You know what I mean? Unless he's popping his ass on her and she has his finger in his booty. I don't know. I mean, you know. But again, it's a chick. So I don't know, man. I just... Tank, I don't know. He's woman beaten and abusive and kidnapping and all that stuff. You know. Whatever. Hey, Counterpunch, what's up with everyone today? Antonio Davis in the building. Counterpunch to you, brother. It showed the closest anyone came to beating Usyk was Del Boy. He put it right on him. Do you think Usyk is as good as he used to be based on one fight? No. Matthew Ryan. No, it's not just one fight. Let's break it down like this. I'm going to explain this again for those who didn't listen the first time. Joshua Usyk won. Usyk was totally different in that fight, right? He beats Joshua, upsets Joshua. Everybody goes ape shit, right? I predicted Usyk to beat Joshua, by the way. Usyk Joshua 2, post-war. Everybody was like, oh man, he lost all this weight. He didn't have time to train because he was in the trenches, defending his family, shooting up Russians, things of that nature. He comes into that fight not the same he was in the first fight with Joshua, but he was good enough to beat Joshua. And in between those two fights, I was looking like, I mean, Usyk's still good. He's good. I mean, he did a lot of slapping with his punches, whereas he was more crisp with his punches in the first Joshua fight. But I was like, okay, never mind. That might have just been because of, the war and stuff. Well, his next fight was with who? His next fight was with Danny Dubois, the WBA regular champion. And he looked good in that fight, but you can still tell there was a difference between him fighting Joshua in the rematch and him fighting Danny Dubois in the first fight. There was even a difference. I'm looking. He doesn't look as sharp. Right? Then he goes and fights Tyson Fury. Now, in Tyson Fury's fight, I think he was a lot better. So I think it depends on the style. But Tyson was tricky his damn self. But, you could still tell that he was quick, he was fast, he was still able. He had winning ability. But if you look at that fight, the first fight he had with Tyson Fury versus the first fight he had with Anthony Joshua, them were two different Usyks. Then the second fight, right? He fought Tyson Fury. He was still good, but again, I seen a little bit edged off the top each and every fight. A little bit of Usyk edged off he kind of diminished a little bit. 5% here, 10% here, 5% here, 10% there. He edged down. So by the time he fought Danny Dubois, he was just better than Danny Dubois. Now he fights Rico. Then I think now by the time these little small percentages of this fighter is diminishing, we're starting to finally see, I think everyone's finally starting to see that he ain't the same fighter, but I've been seeing little small changes with Alexander Usyk since he beat Anthony Joshua the first time. You see what I'm saying? Don't agree. Usyk in the Fury 1 was the worst of all 6, not including Rico and Chisora. Well, that just proves my point. You know, that means that he's not the same as he was before. So you're proving my point. Usyk not the same no more. But I don't think, see, the goodness of Usyk, it just didn't happen overnight. He didn't go from 88 to 58. He went from 88 to 82 to 76 to 73 to 69 to 65. You see what I mean? He didn't drop all at one time. Slowly, he was starting to lose that ability that we were accustomed to seeing. You know what I mean? He was a lot different than he was in the Bellew fight versus the Witherspoon fight versus the Chisora fight versus the AJ1 fight versus the AJ2 fight versus, you know, the Daniel 1 fight. And each one he was dropping. I was seeing small changes. Again, small differences of how he was performing, of how fast he was, his foot speed, his footwork. Those things I seen, people, changes. I think that's the Caballero fight will be the last one for Usyk. I think that'll be his first loss. I don't think that'll be his last fight. Nah. I give Usyk more credit than that. It ain't that he's going to lose one day and, oh, show's over. I lost. Goodbye, y'all. It's been real. See you later. He ain't that person. I think it's more challenging in him. I think if he fights Caballero and he loses, well, I think he'll fight him again. But Frank might have that shit set up where he can't get a rematch because it's a mandatory. But, you know, I think it'll be in the contract. I think it will be in the contract. Thoughts on Hrgovic? Okay. Thoughts on Filip Hrgovic? People, I think Filip Hrgovic is a good fighter, but I think that was a weak-ass call-out. I don't think he wanted Moses Atomo. Listen, if I am good shape and I fight and I need to talk to my doctor, I need to rest, I need to go home to my family. That wasn't what I thought it would be. I thought he would call out Moses. Moses, I want to kick your ass now. You are a young boy to me. I was once your young boy. But I will show you man with balls. And I don't think you have them, Moses. And because you don't have them, I'm going to expose you. Frank soon full champion. Moses will bite smoke. Hrgovic. So if you think Usyk is going to lose to Caballero, what would you say if he knocks Caballero out early? I would say a job well fucking done. I would be impressed. I would be surprised. That puts him back in the, you know, that revives his career, that reinvents his career by beating Caballero. He's done what he's supposed to do. People will forgive the Rico Van Hoven fight. Then if he fights Rico Van Hoven again, knocks out Rico Van Hoven, people will give him more credit because he had challenges with Rico in the first place in the first fight. So, yeah, I think he would get 100% credit for beating Caballero. If he could beat Caballero, yeah. But here's the thing. That's what you're supposed to do. Because Caballero is that dude right now. He's that monster. You know, he's that guy that's next in line that has beaten people up to that point to deserve that opportunity. He's stopping Moses becoming champ. Everyone writing Usyk off now. Let's see his next performance and let's see if there's a pattern forming from it. Let's see. Because I'll tell you this about Alexander Usyk. You know, Usyk is a guy, I feel, that he knows how to get better. But I think if he fights Caballero, I think that's if he can't turn back the hands of time or he has an issue with that, I like to see how the fight will be fought. But I think Caballero gets him at age 33. He beats, I think Caballero beats a 39-year-old Usyk. I just think that's the case. No disrespect to Usyk, I just think that he won't be able to deal with that type of pressure. But then again, Usyk is not Zhang. Usyk is not Frank Sanchez with the broken knee. He's not Arslan Makhmudov either. So I still think I think he will make it difficult for Caballero. I think everybody thinks opposite of how I think. People think Caballero will make it difficult for Usyk and Usyk should still win. I think Usyk will be difficult for Caballero, but Caballero will eventually break him down. You know what I mean? And it will be, I think it's going to be some controversy. Why? Because Usyk is a good, and this is what Don Charles was talking about. Pay attention. I think Usyk is good at pretending to be fouled. He doesn't like body shots, so he gestures that he was hit low. Someone like Caballero starts hitting him in the body, he's not going to like it. And because he's not going to like it, he's going to be looking at the ref. You're going to see a lot of that shit in that fight. I guarantee it. Because once Caballero, kind of gets him and, catches him and bit. You know what I mean? He's either going to grab Caballero, because Caballero's going to go back to the same body. He's going to go back. He's going to start early to Usyk's body. Usyk is going to stay back. That's why it's going to be difficult. He's going to stay back from Caballero. He's going to, feint Caballero, you know what I mean, and throw punches at Caballero, get Caballero distracted to take his focus away from his main focus, the body. We know Caballero is the Kurdish Mickey Ward, right? He's going to go to the body. But he's also a hell of a puncher, too. He's a sharp puncher. And I think Usyk, if he, because we seen how Rico did it. Caballero's a lot bigger than Usyk. You seen the size of Caballero and Usyk? They look eye to eye, and Caballero's he's a big, full, chunky motherfucker. Right? He got some size on him. He's solid. You know what I mean? And fighting someone like that, you're going to see. You're going to see how fresh Caballero is. Jet might stop if he starts hitting him in the body and he hurts him to that shot because he knows how to hit you to the liver, to the solar plexus. Rico was hurting Usyk, I think. People just didn't catch it. He hit Usyk one time. Usyk went over and it's like, damn, what was that? That was a punch to your gut, bro. Usyk might time him. See, the reason why I like Caballero is Caballero wins fights in daring ways. If you're able to take people's shots, go to the body, hurt them to the body, stop them to the body, but take those person's shots in return, you're one bad mofo in my book, because you're doing it the hard way. You're doing it the hustle's way. That means I was able to commit to the body by sacrificing my face and someone else's offense coming at me. I took their shit to take my shit, to give them my shit. I was able to go to the body, take the shots upstairs, because if you're a hell of a fighter like Usyk is, he's gonna counter that shit. He's gonna counter it. It was funny when Turkey said at the presser, I want to see someone beat Usyk. He does. He does want somebody to beat Usyk. Turkey's looking for somebody to whoop Usyk's ass. Alhamdulillah, this will happen. My Muslim brother, Ajit Kabayel. Kabayel. Inshallah, you will win. He'll have to fight Kabayel, not trying to outmaneuver him. I think Kabayel will fight him. Because I think what happens is Kabayel, if he starts fighting Usyk, he has a better chance. But fighting him in spots, going to the body, fighting him, boxing him in spots, showing his ring IQ as well, because you just can't go in there just blazing. Usyk will be very feel when he takes that first L. But again, this is assuming that Usyk is the standard. This is the standard 39-year-old, nice love handles having ass Usyk, because Usyk did have some love handles on him, and it's like, yo, where'd that come from? Max Kellerman called his ass fat. He was like, dude, he looked fat. And, he did come in bigger than he's ever came in. 233 pounds? What the fuck is that? He's gained about 10 pounds. If Kabayel versus Atoma was done now, who you got? Who you talking? It's a difficult fight. It's kind of difficult to make a prediction. I think Moses will be tested for the first time, honestly, because he's not in there with somebody that you can just blast out. And if he does, that's scary. Because if he's knocking out mandatories, interim champions, dudes like that are in their prime, that are not Dillian White and washed up and old, if he does that to Kabayel, that's making a big statement. And I say put Moses in there with Usyk then, because if Kabayel gets beat by Moses, would I watch Kabayel fight again? Sure. But his opportunity is over because he just got it snatched by the young phenom. Kabayel will beat Moses if he's able to avoid the onslaught, deal with that, with the southpaw, another southpaw. It would be a good fight, though. I think that's a risky fight. I think for Moses, Frank Sanchez, Ajit Kabayel, Efe Ajagba, I think all those guys are dangerous for Moses. And I think those are the type of fighters that they keep him away from. Keep away from those fighters there. Usyk is blinded by that Turkey money. He's not going anywhere. This is my pocketbook. Daniel Dubois will beat Kabayel because styles make fights. I think he stops Dubois to the body. But I also think one thing about that, I think Dubois quits. I think Kabayel makes Dubois quit. And I don't mean, because I think it'll be too many punches that he'll be taking from Dubois. Dubois will back up Kabayel with a double jab. You know what I mean? And he follows through with his jab. But I do think Kabayel will make Danny Dubois quit. And Danny Dubois will be triple knee once again once he gets hit by one of those shots to his stomach. He's a durable guy. I like to see shots like that. But I think Kabayel beats Danny Dubois. I think Daniel's faster. Because he's faster, I think he's way more polished than somebody like Fabio. Yeah, he beat Fabio. Fabio had only one thing. The same thing Wilder had. Right? A punch. A right hand. He didn't show any other offense that gave Danny Dubois problems. Not at all. And because of that, you're dealing with someone like Kabayel that knows how to do everything. Punch, parry, defense, offense, pressure, durability. He has it all, and I think Daniel will find that out if he ever came in contact, even cross paths, should he say, with Ajit Kabayel. Yeah, I think Kabayel makes Daniel Dubois quit. And look, I'm trying to tell people, I've been right all month long. So you don't want to see Atoma versus Kabayel in case Kabayel loses. If you are that confident about Kabayel, you should be open to the fight. Kabayel should beat Atoma if you believe Kabayel beats Usyk. That does not fucking mean the same thing. Kabayel fighting Usyk is the fight that should happen next. It's the fight that's in order. Kabayel versus Atoma is two different things based on the fact that if you throw Moses in there with Kabayel, that's only because you don't want to see Kabayel and Usyk. So it's either an agenda going on why people don't want to. Because, see, throwing people other fights that they didn't ask for or they are not in position for is kind of weird to me. It's always been suspicious. So you're like, well, if based on what you said, he should beat Moses. You know what I'm saying? If you want him, how did he say? Well, yeah, Kabayel should beat Atoma if you believe that Kabayel beats Usyk. Those are two different fighters. You got one guy that's tested. I didn't say I didn't say that Kabayel, he could stop Usyk, I believe, to the body, because Usyk don't like body shots. But who does? Right? Moses is a guy that has not been tested. He gets in there with somebody like and look, like I'm saying, like I get what you're saying. Moses is untested. Moses is young. He should beat Moses. All I'm saying is Moses should stay away from guys like Kabayel. It's a dangerous fight because we've never seen Kabayel beat. The worst thing that could happen, and this is what happens with Moses, and I think Moses is a younger version of Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois used to blast out these fighters 1 or 2 rounds, and most of them fucking fights. Look at Danny Dubois' knockout rate. Somebody has a video of his highlights. Most of his fights are stopped early. I'm like, damn, that fight just started. Oh! So damn, all you got to do is throw 4 or 5 punch combination and land 3 out of 5. Them motherfuckers are going to come in there and stop that fight. They're going to come in there and stop that shit because they don't got no balls. They're women. So I look, so saying all that to say this, Moses be blasting out fighters and they stop fights because these guys are like, yo, what the hell just happened? He whoops your ass so fast, but he knows all. And I think people get in the rhythm of that. It ain't because he's a knockout artist. He's just a fast pressure fighter, right? He has explosive power in the combination. And he takes you and he hits you so quick. And those referees, we don't want to see any more of that. And they do that shit all the time over there. So if you can get in a groove or a habit of just applying pressure fast and aggressive on these dudes, you can get a stoppage prematurely because the refs are not going to tolerate a lot of punches coming from one guy and the other guy don't punch back. Whereas the other guy may be blocking some of them, they'll still stop that shit. But has Moses been attacked? Has Moses been hit? You know, has somebody connected with Moses with a good shot and that he didn't see? He does Miller, Joshua, Hergovic, Fabio, Wardley. Kirk Kabayel will never beat Usyk prime version. We ain't talking about Usyk prime version. That's fantasy bullshit. Maybe he won't. Maybe he couldn't. We ain't talking about a prime Usyk. Did we just see a prime Usyk? We did not. We saw Usyk that was fat. Yeah, I said it. We've seen a fat Usyk. Usyk has been heavier than he ever has. Hey, the scales don't lie. Did he look like Dave Allen in there? No. But the man he got some weight from somewhere. He been eating good. This dude, Usyk, look at his social media. Usyk been hanging out with chefs and shit. He's eating lambs and steaks, shrimps and shit. He's been doing that. Look at his social media. Usyk's been eating good, bro, because he's rich. I eat lamb. Lamb makes me feel. I like lamb. I like ribeye. I like beef rib. And rice and beans. We ain't talking about Usyk. Usyk didn't talk about, I mean, he did to gain weight. I read having a large skull increases your durability to withstand certain concussions from heavy punches. Yeah, I would think so. If they keep putting on these gimmick fights, one of the top heavyweights will lose to a kickboxer or MMA fighter in a matter of time. In my opinion, Usyk like a Fury, not training in the camp. Kurt, you are very feel. Yeah. Rich got to eat good. Hell yeah. I wouldn't have grass-fed bison steaks, elk steaks, ribeyes, wild-caught salmon, prawn shrimp, lobster, avocados, eggs. That's pretty much it. I mean, yeah. Lamb chops. I would eat great. I would be so jacked. Usyk is blinded by that turkey money. He is not going anywhere. Okay? Rich don't eat Walmart. Hell no. I don't eat Walmart meat. What are you, out of your mind? What are you, crazy? I don't eat Walmart. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't eat Burger King. I don't eat Wendy's. I don't eat none of that shit. Nobody wants to see Usyk and Dubois get fight for the third. No, we don't. When we shouldn't. That's a waste of time. I would rather see any other fight besides that. Kurt, the ref, told Peter he didn't hear that. Yeah. Damn lab meat. Yeah, cultured meat. That shit's scary. You know, Tom Cruise baths in Evian water. The rich live differently. That's crazy. He probably has an Evian filter. That's why that motherfucker looks good. That's why he looks about 51 and he's actually 63 or some shit. You know what I mean? Tom Cruise looks good. He's now just finally starting to look old. Hell, Val Kilmer's dead. God bless the dead, but he's dead. His damn health declined years ago. He had one of them things in his throat. That makes me, that makes the hair stick on the back of my neck. You hear somebody talk through that shit, makes everything in my stomach drop. No cap. The reason I believe Dubois doesn't quit versus Caballero because he will be landing a night on him. That's true, but I think he will fight, but he won't be able. See, this is what'll happen. If Danny Dubois starts fighting Caballero with the tools Caballero has versus the tools that Dubois has, Dubois, I think, will have success in that fight. I just don't think he beats Caballero. Because what happens is he'll start getting hit with shots that he's not used to. AJ didn't go to the body with Dubois. Usyk didn't go to the body with Dubois. You know what I mean? Even though Usyk beat him. But Jarrell Miller, he was just too fat. Fat fuck. He was just too fat. Philip Hergovic, all he threw was 1-2s at Danny Dubois. You know what I mean? That's what happened. Those are the type of fights that, you know, why you don't eat Walmart meat, Kurt. I don't eat shit from Walmart like that. No. It just don't even look right over there. You go to that meat aisle, you looking at that shit? Ugh. No, I'll pass. That's not a grocery store. That's a store that has a grocery section in it. I'm going to the grocery store. Bivol versus Eford this weekend. Is Eford any good? I have no idea. Matthew, I have no idea. I've never heard of this guy. Never heard of Eford. Couldn't tell you. Where is Joe Joyce from? He always looked half Samoan or Hawaiian to me. Okay, Joe Joyce is from the UK. His dad is Irish and his mom is Nigerian. There you go. He's Irish and Nigerian. Just like AJ. It just difference is AJ, his grandfather's, one of his grandfathers, I think his grandfather's father is from Ireland. So I think his great-grandfather's Irish. That's why he's about my color. That's why AJ's about my color, because his damn great-granddaddy's from Ireland. You know? Just like my great-grandmother's from Ireland. So there you go. Kurt Usyk before this fight came out with the toothpick and the flush in his mouth before each interview and burping like he just ate. He probably did just eat. Picking a damn tooth out of that food, that meat out of that gap. Very, very feel. Joyce have Nigerian. Yes. Bivol fighting a nobody instead of giving an honoring Beterbiev trilogy or even fighting Benavidez. Well, I think that's some bitch shit by Bivol. I think Bivol knew fighting Beterbiev is a fight that who the fuck really wants at this point? Think about it. Bivol, I think, is avoiding that fight. I think he avoided that fight anyway. Now, I do understand he had a operation, but it is what it is. Walmart has the best food. Stay eating there. More power to you. Usyk needs to retire while he's undefeated. I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about Floyd's undefeated record. I don't care about Andre Ward's. I don't care about Calzaki's. You know, see, that's one of those things you care for because you, in your mind, you have a narrative about the fighter. Fuck them if they lose or don't. I think they should pass the torch. I think they should give the next generation the opportunity based on the resume or the name that they've just had or earned on the resume to ascend to their top potential. I think passing of the torch to that next young fighter is just the beginning for the next young fighter. Kurt, why David Benavidez not wanting to fight with Beterbiev? Because it's a lose-lose situation. If he goes there and gets his ass beat, it's over. Fighting Beterbiev is an older version of Jai Pataya. But probably worse because Beterbiev is a guy that everybody just thinks he's a bruiser. He will beat your brains out, sure. But Beterbiev is a guy that's much better than people think he is. I think if Beterbiev is not injured and not just totally old and still has the ability to fight on that elite level, he can upset David Benavidez. Because I think David's tough. I just don't think he's tougher than Bivol. I think Bivol was smart enough to know, I'm going to stay away from this bastard. I'm going to use my feet, and I'm going to box him all night long because I'm not going to stand in one place and let him beat me to death. That's what Beterbiev does. He starts fighting you and beating you, and if he gets a punch through on you, because that's what happens. He starts brawling you, and then, David wants to fight back because David's going to, bow! He's going to get hit with a shot he's not going to like. That's a dangerous fight because you don't know if that old ass Beterbiev is on the top of his game or not. You don't know. You don't know what to expect. See, sometimes when you got these fighters that are past their prime, they may have a couple good fights left. That's the danger. You don't know what type of version of Beterbiev you're going to get. You're talking about a guy that goes to the gym and throws up 150-pound dumbbells. You know what I'm saying? Those same punches that cause you to hit you right here. You see how short these punches are? They're not long punches. They're short. Those are the type of shots, heavy shots from Beterbiev. If he's allowed, if David don't move, he's going to get hurt. They know better. Al is not a moron. Al Haymon is not stupid. You don't want to fight somebody like that because David he's too overzealous. He's too gifted with hand speed. The minute he tries that shit with Beterbiev, and he can get caught. Now, could he score? Yes. Is Beterbiev indestructible? No. But I don't think that's the point. I think the minute if he because here's the problem with David. David got hurt by David Morrell. You guys forget that. He got caught with a right hook and he was on Queer Street. He has heart. He has a decent chin. He has good recovery. But fighting someone with that type of pressure that will come at you like that, will hit you with shots that hurts you. He ain't been in there with nobody like that. Now, had this been fucking 2 years ago, last year, I would have picked Beterbiev to beat David. But everyone knows, including Bivol, wait that old dangerous motherfucker out because he's old. Wait him out. Do not fight this dude now. He got one loss, and that's Bivol. And he gave Bivol his first loss. So they're 1-1. So I do think it's bullshit. I do think Bivol is smart. I think Bivol knew, I'm not fighting Beterbiev coming out of a surgery, which I think it's smart. Because fighting someone like Beterbiev now for Bivol, he probably would lose. Because let's say his back is not 100%. And something happens in that fight where Beterbiev goes to that body and hits him, you know what I mean? And something, gets out of whack. I just don't think that. Artur will punish David Benavidez for one reason. He squares up. He does. I've seen David do that shit. David sits there sometimes because he's waiting for the onslaught because he's thinking. He's thinking, okay, this dude just threw a left and a right, and a left, right, and a left to the body, right to the body, and a left upstairs, and then he right, and he comes in, and he doesn't catch and shoot. He catches and releases, right? So he catches a shot, then he'll throw a whole bunch of punches. Now, those punches may be heavy enough to offset someone like Beterbiev for a while. But I guarantee you, if Beterbiev just don't get tired because he's just too pissy old, he's going to do what he normally does to everybody else. Beats up David Benavidez. The punches that look at Bivol's face, for Christ's sake. Bivol's face looked like he had been in there with 2 or 3 people. He still won. But Al Haymon knows. Keep David Benavidez away from Artur Beterbiev. Keep him away from him. Joseph, you don't fight Beterbiev 3 times back-to-back is unhealthy. Yeah, it's unhealthy. Because you don't know. Artur ain't no ordinary fighter, bro. That's someone you have to. Look, he's aging. Age his ass out. They'll probably fight him in late 27. But they have to see how well he looks. If Artur looks basic in a fight, they may take a fight with him because they may say, okay, he slowed down enough. He doesn't throw the punches like he used to. In fact, he's kind of fighting like Zerto. Remember slow, big ass Zerto at, because Zerto fought for every two or three, one or two punches. He got hit with 7. Bivol has the best footwork. Bivol's a beast with his footwork, but he needed it to beat Artur because he was smart. There was no way he was going to go to war with Artur because that's what Artur wants. See, David may give Beterbiev what he wants. Go to war. Fuck around. Go to war with Beterbiev if you want to. Go in there and think, oh, my firepower is better than yours, Artur. You may wake up. Be another Callum Smith. And every fucking body else that he fought. Callum Smith's a beast. Callum went in there and got fucked up. Anthony Yard. Yeah, eventually. Because he went in there and got, come on. Let's just be real, man. Let's take it real here. Artur's nothing to mess with, but he's getting older. And that's the saving grace. If Artur Beterbiev was 32 years old, you think David would have ever went back there? He wouldn't even went back to the division. He would have stopped by, but he would have stayed his ass at cruiserweight. See, Jayapataya is a fighter that is he's fast, he's quick, he's talented, he's avoided, but he's not been in there with guys like Artur has. See, yeah, Artur can get rocked. I think a lot of these guys can when you start talking about them in that sense. But keep in mind, man, David, don't mess with Artur. They'll fight him. They just don't want to fight him now. He's just too dangerous. He's too dangerous of a fighter right now. Those promoters do that shit for a reason. They do it for a reason. Beterbiev versus Jayapataya. Well, I wonder I wonder if that's a disadvantage to Jai, because I mean, the only way that would work is some kind of catch weight. Keep in mind, Artur used to fight at cruiserweight, right? But then I'm not sure. I don't know. I have no idea. Sanchez knocked out Torres bad. Yeah. He did. He did knock out Torres pretty damn bad. What do you think of the future of Murat Gassiev? You know what? I was actually on my way of doing a video with these guys, man. Murat Gassiev is very dangerous, and don't sleep on fighters like that. I think he's a beast. I think Murat Gassiev, the way he did Kubrat Pulev, I haven't seen Kubrat get knocked out like that from anybody in a while, probably since AJ. You know what I mean? I mean, keep in mind, Kubrat is old. He's like, what, 46? He's my age. Kubrat's 45, 46 years old. This motherfucker's my age. He's still out there. You know? And Murat Gassiev's a savage. He's a savage. Sanchez was patient and pulled the trigger. Sanchez is a lot better than people give him credit for, and I'm going to say this and keep this out there, keep this in people's ear. The Sanchez, he needs to learn English because him with the Reynosos, they pretty much I think they enable him because they speak Spanish. He speaks Spanish. Triple D versus Sanchez would be a fucking good fight, but I think that fight should happen. Because that's the IBF title eliminator, right? That's the collision course. Everybody talking about Triple G and Moses Atoma. No. Triple D is the IBF. No, he's not. I'm sorry. He was. He was the IBF champion. Disregard that. But I feel that Triple D versus Frank Sanchez is a good fight. It should happen. Usyk stops Caballo much easier than he did against the kickboxer style makes fights. Okay. Kurt, thoughts on Luis Ortiz? I feel he doesn't get as much recognition. Granted, he's also in his mid-40s. Granted, he's also Cuban. They kind of look at Cuban fighters as kind of they get some type of attention, but I don't think they get the attention that they really deserve. Sanchez is explosive. I've seen that the first time I've seen Frank fight. I was like, he's going to be a problem for a lot of heavyweights. You hear me talking about Al Heyman, but understand that applies to all those fighters. They're all those promoters or advisors or managers or whatever you want to call them. They all do the same shit. Do you think you'll ever see AJ versus Frank Sanchez? No. The only way you'll see that is if Frank becomes champion and that's the only belt that AJ can go out for. And Frank will take the fight because Frank wants to get that Andy Ruiz payday. He used to spar with Andy. You think he didn't hear Andy talk about all them houses he bought in Camp Reynoso when they were all at the Canelo's gym? You think Andy didn't sit there and boast? You remember, like you think about Andy. Oh man, damn, Frank, that was the best time. Este tiempo es mejor en todo mi vida. Mucho dinero, muchas chicas, muchos dinero de AJ, peleas con AJ. AJ is muy despacio. He's real slow, but I beat his ass, damn. And I came back with $4,000,000. $4,000,000. Sí, mucho. Pero yo comprar una casa por mi mamá, comprar una casa por mi papá, también, juntos. Andy talks a whole bunch of shit. Andy be talking about that AJ fight. You think he ain't? That fight been 7 years ago. He's still going to talk about that shit. Oh, yes. Cuando tú peleas con Anthony Joshua, es diferente, Frank. Es diferente. Tú sabes, es diferente porque tú tienes mucho dinero. Eddie Hearn, eres un payaso, pero tenemos este dinero del mismo tiempo. Be talking a bunch of shit. You hear them dudes translated, yeah. Fighting AJ is different. I think Eddie Hearn's a clown, but he has that money. Cuban fighters great in the amateurs in the Olympics, but not much in popping in the professionals. Well, I think that's not true. I think most heavyweights that were heavyweights just didn't get the opportunity. I mean, I think the great heavyweights of Cuba did not defect. Stevenson didn't defect. And I'm not talking about Shakur. Your Andy Ruiz, Joyce, Frank, Warren expressions are last. XK shots, counterpunch to you. But yeah, I think Frank would take that fight with AJ. I think he'll take that fight with AJ. I think that that would be a pretty good fight to make. AJ gets Fury with one of those Klitschko uppercuts, and it's nighty night Fury. I hope it happens, man. We've been waiting along for that fight a long time. You know? So, but no, I think to answer the question of the title of the condition of the heavyweight division, Usyk should fight Caballo. I think he should fight Caballo, and if he beats Caballo, then it will be another, or it may be, he may roll right back into a mandatory. If that's the case, I don't think he should drop another belt. I think he should fight his last fight, because that was one fight, Rico. He beat Rico, then Caballo, and then the last fight. And I think the last fight could be against whoever he wants it to be. But if it's a mandatory around the corner, that's who he needs to fight. If not, he needs to drop that belt. So I'll get Caballo versus Alexander Usyk should be next, people. So that is what we're going to be discussing throughout. Sure, other possibilities, other stories, other videos are coming at you, but that's what I think it should be. I think Usyk needs work. If there's any time or any room to improve, I think he needs to improve, because I don't like his weight. And that may be a clear sign of him getting old or him starting not to give a shit. But anyway, you guys have a blessed Tuesday. I'm jumping off of here. Got to go to work. Got to go train in the morning. So you guys, see you Thursday, then Saturday. So it's Tuesday, Thursday, then, of course, fight day. I will be live for Bivol versus Efert. So stay tuned for that. But you guys be blessed again. And everyone has been counterpunched. Peace.